Project manager said if it's a problem, the pressure test will catch it. Alright then, let's find out, by user engineer. Back when I was a junior engineer, I was working with a piping contractor supporting a gas plant project that was in the final stretch before commissioning. We were under intense pressure to hit deadlines, and everyone was feeling the heat. One of my responsibilities was reviewing materials before installation, i.e. basic quality control to make sure we weren't about to install something that would bite us later. Then the pipes arrived. These were large diameter, high pressure pipes for a critical gas line. But the moment I saw them, I knew something was off. The mill markings didn't match the material certificates, and some of the weld seams looked rough. When we took a closer look, we found surface defects and laminations at the bevel, classic signs of poor quality steel from a dodgy mill. I flagged it immediately. My lead engineer took one look and agreed, these pipes weren't fit for purpose. We raised it with the project manager, expecting him to do the obvious thing, that is to reject the batch and order replacements from an approved supplier. But this PM wasn't like most project managers. He wasn't an engineer, had a Bachelor of Commerce and had landed the job thanks to his uncle, a senior executive. He had zero technical knowledge and didn't care to learn. To him, just another job to push through quickly to up his bonus, and rejecting the pipes would cause delays, something he was desperate to avoid since it would probably affect his bonus. His response? The supplier says they meet spec, so they meet spec. Just install them and move on. I pushed back, explaining that if these pipes failed under pressure, we were looking at a major incident. He waved me off. Just get it done. If it's a problem, the pressure test will catch it. Alright, mate. Let's see how that goes. The pipes were installed as is, and we moved on to pressure testing. I stood back and watched. As we ramped up the pressure, the pipe's weld seam split wide open and ruptured the pipe. The force of the failure sent a shockwave through the system, and a few of the pipe supports even bent. The pressure test failed. Spectacularly. Now, instead of a minor delay to replace the pipes before installation, we had a catastrophic failure that shut down work for weeks. The entire line had to be cut out, rewelded, and retested. The supplier was blacklisted, and an internal investigation was launched into how the pipes had been approved in the first place. We were also made by the client to bear the cost of rework. As expected, the PM tried to shift the blame. But my lead engineer simply pulled up the email chain where we had clearly raised the defect concerns. Management didn't take long to connect the dots. The PM was taken off the project immediately and was sacked a month later following initial investigation results, and even his uncle couldn't save him. Never saw him again after that, and last I heard he decided to pursue a career outside of the industry. The judge orders the union to only to consult with our employer. We consulted all right, by user milled_oats. So this happened a while back with a large Australian hospital. The Friday before Christmas, senior management dropped the dreaded restructure notice. Standard spiel about realignment, better patient outcomes, efficient practice, blah blah blah. They give notice to the staff and unions that consultation closes first week of January. The new employment structure will take place in February. Under the conditions of our industrial award, the employer must make genuine consultation available where the employee has the opportunity to change the employer's mind about making them redundant. The other thing is redundancy payouts are generally good in health in Australia, with a worker with 13 years work history gets a year's pay with $113,000 tax-free plus entitlements such as annual leave and long service leave paid out. Each year you work, your redundancy increases in value to a maximum of 13 years. About 4 to 5%, 200 plus, of staff are going to be made redundant. The union launches into the industrial court arguing that the time given, especially over Christmas, is insufficient. The court agrees and extends the time by 2 weeks but issues 2 statements. 1. The industrial court will not slow down this restructure anymore, and 2. It strongly reminds the unions, there was multiple, that you can only consult. Hospital management see this as a big win and are bragging how they are going beat us. The unions have a combined meeting and decide that if the staff can only consult, then ask as many questions as we can. The members are asked to field as many questions as possible. My union alone gathered 1,200 plus questions, with 700 of them unique, another 800 to 900 questions coming from the other unions. As you can imagine, management does not respond well to our combined 2,000 plus questions. They attempt to push on. We head back to court where we remind the judge of his must consult orders. The court tells our employer that they must answer the questions. The restructure is on hold by court order. What were the questions like? Some questions were about legal ramifications due to industrial award requirements, others about professional legal standards, some questions about day-to-day operations, and others about how they would be personally impacted. The court orders both sides to meet back in a month and hospital management must answer all questions. We get our answers in 3 weeks' time that consist of yes, no, maybe, possibly and unsure answers. All one-word answers. This is not genuine consultation. We head back to court and the judge is furious about lack of real consultation. The hospital argue it's too many questions to answer, but the judge reminds them they only have to genuinely consult. Come June we are in a legal holding pattern when hospital management declares that they are changing the restructure on feedback given and issues new restructure papers. The restructure will take place in 4 weeks' time. New restructure requires new consultation which the hospital isn't willing to do. Back to court the unions go to remind the judge about genuine consultation. We won again by just consulting. Come December, 1 year after starting all of this, the hospital hires a consultant to get the restructure done. She has the same attitude as hospital management and tries to rush through the restructure without genuine consultation. We head back to court and at this stage the judge has had enough and notes the unions have played by the rules and the hospital hasn't. We hit back with even more questions and judge decides he will set down monthly meetings with him chairing them to work through this mess. In total the restructure takes over 3 years with loss of a lot less jobs lost than expected. In fact it was a fraction of jobs expected to go. In some departments we gained jobs by arguing about workloads etc. The vast majority of people who lost their jobs were close to retirement age and received a handsome payout. They also got 3+ years pay as the restructure took place over that time. Some of the union's members had worked less than the 13 years work history maximum payout before the restructure. The 3+ years of delay increased their payouts. All we did was consult by asking questions as the judge ordered. I will work on that Saturday you put me on the roster, by user Shiera de Capi. TLDR, they changed the Saturday roster at work, arrogantly ignored my admonitions, so I let the new roster mess itself up. At my ex-place of work they had the bright idea to switch the Saturday schedule. Instead of the rotation of 4 Saturdays, now people would be scheduled on either the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th Saturday of the month. Right? Those of you readers who have ever had to make work schedules already know when the problem will present itself. I repeatedly asked those planners before the introduction of the new roster if they were sure they wanted to implement this. In this way, they repeatedly assured me yes. This will be a more clear schedule and if everyone has a set Saturday there will be no need for further planning. If you say so. I was assigned Saturday number 3. No problem with that. Now I was the Veronica there, my other colleagues were not interested in stirring the pot, so the first month, no problem. The second month. 5 Saturdays. So the team that was assigned to the first Saturday had to show up for Saturday number 5. Then on the first Saturday of the following month, the team from Saturday number 2 had to come in. And on Saturday number 2, yep, they expected team number 3 to be present. And they were, except for this Veronica. Even on the Friday before 2 of my group, number 3, colleagues mentioned to me something related to the next day, and I told those 2 oh, but I won't be there. But we're supposed to do the Saturday shift tomorrow. Not me, I am assigned Saturday number 3, not number 2. But we are on the schedule. Well, I don't know about you, but they told me I'm on the schedule for Saturday number 3, and tomorrow is the second Saturday, so it's not my turn. Definitely not. And what do you know, next morning, Saturday number 2, at 9:35 the phone rang at my house. We have to be at work at 9 o'clock to open doors at 9:30, you do understand that I had switched off my cell phone before going to sleep. My sister answered, I could hear her from my room, where I was leisurely lazing in my bed. Hello? T? Yes, she's home, but asleep. Work? I'm sure she doesn't, she explicitly told me she's gonna sleep in today because she isn't scheduled. Yes, I told her that. Absolutely not. We have an understanding that when she's sleeping late I have to let her. I am definitely not waking her up when it's her free Saturday. Yeah, I don't know about that. I can tell her to call you when she wakes up, but it's her free Saturday, so I can't guarantee that she will. Or when. My sister can also be a Veronica. Actually she did not say the next words literally, but something in that direction / well, not my monkeys, not my circus / have a nice day, goodbye. I had wanted her to say that probably someone must have made an error in the planning of the roster, but the monkey thing was also very cool. After she hung up, she came to my room and we had a big laugh. And the following Monday, not one of the people of the planning nor my supervisor nor any of the higher UPS dared to confront me about my absence on Saturday number 2. Nor on the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And on Saturday number 3 I was there, alongside the whole team of Saturday number 4. We had one surplus worker that day. Face with tears of joy, 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 face with tears of joy. But would you believe that I still had to send out an email every month to remind everyone that I will not work on Saturday number 1, nor on number 2, I will be present on Saturday number 3, but not on number 4 and absolutely definitely not on Saturday number 5 heavy exclamation mark symbol. Yeah, I'm that petty. They kept up messing it up for almost a year. Edited to add. I changed Veronica to Veronica, to indicate that's not a real name nor person. But my shining hero on YouTube. And she should be everyone's hero for her example of how to negotiate work life and deal with those who want to exploit workers. Mind you, it's not that my management was anything like the managements I read about online. It's just, sometimes it's like they just actively chose to stay ignorant and then be surprised with the consequences. And wow heavy exclamation mark symbol. I am overwhelmed with the amount of views and flattered with all your upvotes. Thank you all so much for giving this retired person more joy from her petty actions from a couple of years ago. Edit number 2. To change C to K because Veronica is adamant about that. You told me to treat it like a finished product, by userdubdub2121. I used to work for a company that constantly, but carefully, innovated with its employees and technology. I had a very busy job that involved a lot of travel. The company had computers at each of its offices. Employees like me would use them to manage all of our complex jobs and travel arrangements, which were core functions of the company. One day I was at an office and some people from IT had a small table set up with a sign asking for 5 minutes of our time to help them make our computers easier and faster for us to use. I volunteered and they had me sit at their table in front of a notebook. Each page in the notebook mimicked a redesign of the computer screens that we used. The IT testers asked me to interact with the mock-up just the way I would interact with the computer if I had just now walked up to it and found it like this. They wanted to see how ready their design was for employees to use without additional training. I tapped buttons on the page mock-ups and they flipped to the resultant next screens in their notebook, all while using a stopwatch and making notes. I successfully logged in and navigated the menus to the function I needed. When I tried to use the function, however, I got stuck in an endless loop trying to back out of it when I couldn't figure out how to use it. They kept flipping back and forth between 2 pages that each had a back button I was trying to use to get back to the menu. I stood up, grabbed my bags, and started to leave. They became quite animated and asked me to stay and complete a feedback questionnaire. I told them that I just had. If I had encountered a computer like that at work I would have just gone to another computer, leaving my login active and compromising corporate security on that computer because it didn't work and I didn't have time to figure out what was wrong with it and how to fix it. They said that they really needed more information in order to get it right. I said I agreed with them as I walked away. That redesign never got implemented. You want the engineering staff to do the ordering as well? You got it, by user OKP3414. So, for those who are unaware, companies usually have engineering staff talk with engineering of parts suppliers, detail down the specifications and whatnot, and then the list goes to the purchasing department or the purchasing folks of that particular engineering department. This is because engineers don't want to involve themselves with 30/60/90 days due, terms and conditions of sale, validity of quotes, remember the correct quote PDFs because they have hundreds of them, and working with finance department to understand what is the best for the overall financial health. Also, in fairly large companies, you have buyers dedicated for each vendor or buyers dedicated to certain products, like pneumatics, electrical, heavy-duty construction, mechanical components, made-to-order parts etc. And the buyers themselves have internal pathways and routes so that each required product finds themselves with the correct buyer, because the engineers are dicks and to lower their workload they will more often than not, dump all the parts on a single buyer. A new VP comes in, sees buyers as bloat, fat to be trimmed, and makes a decision. He lays off 8 buyers in that engineering department which makes whole factory material handling systems. Systems that handle nearly all the materials moving through multi-100,000 square footage, from raw materials warehouses and yards to finished goods sections. We had to order the stuff ourselves. Before we did though, 3 senior staff engineers asked that to be sent in a department-wide email. VP does so. And now, starts then compliance. Vendors ask what terms do you want? Not aware of how deep you have to go, engineers ask for the best price. Due in 15 days after delivery. Sure, let's do that. Turns out, that vendor usually was on a net 90-day due, because paying off in the next quarter would be more sensible. What department do you want me to bill it to? Of course mine, because I'm ordering it. Engineers blissfully unaware, the billing happens by sales department as it gets easier to finally do profitability analysis since whichever sales department got the contract, pays for the parts too. Turns out our department didn't have a single process or work route to get bills and pay them. Now, by the time we get to the bottom of the purchasing list, the offered quotes have expired, so we get back to vendor sales teams, and get a new quote and wait, doing nothing much until we get quotes and then order stuff. End of quarter, department finances are a total massive fucked up mess. 8-figure mess. CFO is red-faced, steaming from her ears, trying to find out what is going on. Engineers. Oh. The best price was net due 15 days, so I selected that. Well, I was ordering it, so the bill should come to us. Why would other department pay for the stuff that I'm asking for? CFO, who asked you to do the ordering yourself? This is not your job. Everyone shows her the email. End of day, VP walked out, to be never seen again. All the buyers who were let go were rehired and all of them negotiated a pay increase of $6.5/HR. TLDR, VP not realizing importance of buyers who were paid $38.5/ he lays them off, giving their responsibilities to engineers who made $60-90/HR, who didn't have the knowledge of workflow and actual work to be done. Engineers did a good job from their POV, costing the company tens of millions, and VP get laid off, company hires back the laid off buyers at a higher wage.